Hello everyone. Before we begin today's episode, I'd like to remind you that the video version of this podcast is currently on hold until further notice as we work on some exciting changes behind the scenes. The podcast continues in audio format only. You can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so if you enjoy these conversations, I'd really appreciate your support there. Now, let's get into today's episode. Has any of you ever sat back and realized that as you grow up, or as we all grow up as humans, we tend to lose good friendships? Like, there are people whom we thought are going to be our day ones for life, or even our go to area whenever we are in trouble. At this point in time, they are no longer there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Profession Podcast, a podcast where I'll talk about mental health, well being, as well as unlocking the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Tenye Jim Owen, that is speaking. And this week on the podcast, I'm here to ask all of us this question, starting from me, that why do we tend to lose good friendships as we grow? Or why do people go away from our lives as we grow? Like, there are people whom you've never had a confrontation with or an argument, but as we all grow up as people, as we age, as we advance in our careers, as we celebrate the wins, the successes, or even the challenges that we ever experience, those people at this point in time, they are no longer there. Maybe some of them, they have advanced in their careers as people, or they've also turned a new leaf, or they might have even deleted contacts from their phones, and in their phone book you are no longer there. And by the time some of you call them, the answer will be, who is this, when they pick up. So I was asking myself that question a day before this podcast. No confrontation, no argument, but as you advance, life is going on and the friendship just dies down. I know there are going to be answers like, people can be jealous or envious and we all don't know. Or there's going to be an answer like, that is life, or circumstances come in and there are certain things where we see, they are going to be not fit for them, or they do not have a place in our lives. But question is, why do we tend to lose those friendships? Like, let me begin from a system that is below. In primary school, there are people whom you had as friends, and these guys were your day ones. Let us say for 6 or 7 years, these people were there, and even their families knew you. You knew one another, and people were looking at you and they're like, wow, these guys are in alignment with each other. And whenever there was trouble, wow, those are the guys whom you go to or whom you would go to, and they would help. But as we all grow, here we are, high school, university, life after university, we are all working, we are all holding maybe different positions in our lives, in terms of careers, or we have even become business proprietors. These guys are no longer there in our lives. And even when, let us say, they travel to different countries and they have gone to reside there, the friendship can't be affected. But I also have this other thing in mind. Is it because we meet new people? Is it because we meet other people who maybe have taken over their place, or maybe are better than them in any other aspect of life? Maybe you wanted to learn something that maybe this friend or friends doesn't have or do not have, and by the time you meet another person, you're like, wow, this person has what I wanted all along. And so you start aligning with that person and you begin walking, with them arms in arms. And at the end of the day, the friends you had or the friend you had just disappears. Like, why do we tend to lose such friendships? As I speak now, as a person, I'm in touch with a few people whom I used to study with, given the fact that we are all grown ups and we are, advancing in our lives, but we are just in touch a few people, right? And by the time maybe as I'm speaking this, some of you or some of us are even getting updates on maybe people who used to be our friends or people who are our friends. You'll hear that someone has got married, or you'll hear someone has traveled to another country, maybe others they're holding big positions in areas where they work, things like that. And thing is, those guys, we already lost them. We can maybe reconnect with them at an event, or maybe when we have a mutual friend between. That is when those people can tend to come back in our lives. But the thing is, why do we tend to lose them? We lose them, is it because due to jealousy, anger, envy, or do we lose them because we are turning a new leaf as people? Or maybe when we are celebrating our wins, those are the people who are at the sideline or touchline saying, okay, you've received this win, fine, but where is it going to benefit me as a person? And maybe when we are down sometimes, those are the people who would have been there for us. But because we are celebrating wins, they will be at the other side of the riverbank chanting that we told you so, or we were waiting for your downfall, things like that. Like for me, I can relate that as I've been growing up since 2014, I lost a couple of friends, people whom I thought are going to be my day ones, people whom I thought I would rub shoulders with. To this day, I am a witness that I lost a couple of them. Why? My health wasn't really that good. I was frail at the time, and I was really changing, or I was going through a tough time, a rough time. And people who have suffered from, let us say, neurological disorders, or maybe are suffering from, something that is perceived by society as a misconception, you can relate to what I'm saying. But others, why do we tend to lose those good friends? Is it because we were better than them in school and they know that by the time we come out here and we are all competing for jobs, we are going to be better than them? Or is it because life keeps on changing us? Like, I sat back and was pondering all about these things, and I'm realizing that sometimes as we grow, or most times as we grow, there's a lot of loneliness. Or, when we are on the media, those are the people who used to come into the comment section and they're, cheering you on, seeing your posts, reposting, and sharing with others. But now, some of you or some of us may seem to be blocked. And by the time we are here today, those good friendships that we used to have with them, the kinds of conversations we used to have with them, are no longer there. Like, let's say this, or let me say this. People whom we used to have as friendships in primary school, like, by the time we grow and we are out here, I expect that those are the guys or those are the people who know us inside out, because the people whom we meet in high school and uni, they may not know a certain bit of our lives, and they might hear such, a life from just a conversational point of view. They may not be there to have seen it practically or seen our wins and, losses, but they'll just hear how you navigated certain things in your life, right? But as we grow, those friendships fade. As I've said, there is no confrontation, no argument, but you just find that the relationship just went like that. Like, even if you send them a text message right now, they'll put you on red and they will never answer back. Or they deleted their contact, blocked, and as I've said, by the time you try to call them to check in, they'll ask, who is this? Even if some of them have recognized your voice. Let's all ponder on that. Like, why do we tend to lose friendships in our careers, in our lives, as we are being unlocked to new people, or as we turn new leaves, or as we transform into better people? Why do we tend to lose those friendships? All right, friends, that is the podcast for this week. Check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Plus, follow the Profession Podcast YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next episode. From me to you, keep being in touch with friends, keep the friendships, maintain the friendships where necessary. But life has changed all of us. Cheers.